when I think about like relationships between Muslims and Christians, my mind doesn't go to like current like interfaith dialogue stuff, which is like really obnoxious, I think. It goes to like Christians and Muslims like writing to each other like 1,000 years ago. And how did Christians like, I'm very interested in like when Islam spread, like there was no internet. And so it wasn't like, here's this new religion and here's a website where you can explain it.
Here's our Wikipedia.
Instead, it was piecemeal. And so Christians were like, what is this new thing? There's a great book called like A Prophet Has Emerged. And it's like, there's just like a quote from somebody and it's like, who is this person? Who are these people? What's going on? And so it starts with rumors, right? It starts with rumors about Islam and everything and like misinterpretations of things. And then like trying to say like, okay, well, who are these Muslims? Who are these people? Well, they must be just like these people that we've dealt with, etc.
We're viewed as pagans and or Jews for a while, no?
What's that?
We're viewed as pagans and or Jews for a while.
Well, Jews mainly.
Yeah.
Jews mainly. That you were too Jewish. And that you were part of this Jewish conspiracy because the Jews would leave Christian areas and go to the Muslim areas. So they were obviously helping you somehow.
Child sacrifice mostly.
Right, the blood libel
stuff.
I think that was that kind of stuff was much later.
It's more 17th,
during like the Black Death and everything.
Yeah, more 14th, 15th, 16th century. Yeah.
Yeah, but at the beginning, like 800s, 900s, that's such an interesting time to me because very decentralized, compared to now, people writing past each other and everything, but people would like meet for debates. That's where my mind goes. And
so it doesn't go towards Jordan Peterson talking to Muslims, Muslims.
No. And because when you know all of that, like when you learn all of that, when you learn like St. Thomas Aquinas, like when you learn that there are Christian doctrines, Christians are always like Islam is a ripoff of Christianity, right? That's what we always say. And that it's just this heresy that split off from Christianity, whatever. There are Christian doctrines that are formulated through philosophy that we learned from Islam. And so like it came like a lot of it came about from discussions with Muslims.
This is not as good as a conversion story, by the way. Keep going.
Yeah. Well, so like,
keep going.
So there is this, so there is this very interesting, and like in these empires, that like there was no democracy, like there was a very thick pluralism where you had like one city would be Muslim, one city would be Christian, but they would all live under this empire. And we look back on that and we see it as this era of intolerance and like wars of religion, etc. But like if you go back before democracy, before liberalism, etc., you had a very like we would never allow Dearborn to become a Muslim city in America. That would be absurd to people. Even just that suggestion is comical. And of course, places in Europe that everyone always freaks out that like a neighborhood or a city is becoming too Muslim. You had that all the time in the Ottoman Empire. You had like the millet system. You had cities that were Christian, and you just had to donate money. You said to pay the jizya or whatever. And and it's just a lot less in taxes than we pay now to the federal government. So like what's now in terms of pluralism, it's a very chunky pluralism where it's not pluralism down to the individual person, where each person gets to decide what religion they are.
No, they're not. It's not meant to denature the individual constitution of individual human beings. No, it's very broad strokes. Sustainable pluralism, unlike the one that's happening in Europe right now.
Yes. And so instead, you have this. Have you read like The Impossible State by Wael Hallaq?
No, I know of this book. I know this book.
Okay, yeah. So that's like top 5 books in my life. And because relating it to Christianity has been very interesting in my thought process, because I think the same process has gone on where you have with Christian nationalism, and you have this attempt to make the liberal state Christian, and like the modern nation state Christian. I think you have the exact same thing happening in Israel. I think that is the exact thing that's happening in Israel, and people are not really talking about that. Where like that's the problem. Like people are not criticizing Israel for being too Jewish. Like no, I never hear that. Like it's not like they have rules about like, like from the Torah. Like no one talks about that. Like instead, it's an ethno state, it's a nation state, and because it's a democracy. Like I'm somewhat skeptical of democracy, although I don't know what the alternative is. But my skepticism is like, okay, so how can Israel be a Jewish state and be democratic? Well, the only way is by making sure that Jews are the majority of the population, which means never giving
even the Jews that they want, who think in a particular way. Even diversity of thought cannot exist in even a monoculture population. Democracy, there are some intrinsic, failures within democracy that I think I agree with you that there's a skepticism.
Right. So
even the nation state, by the way, just to sort of, not to carry the water for you, but I don't think that's the experience that Muslims have. Muslims tend to have a more rosy, eyed sort of view of the past. And I think that has to do with the separation of the church and the state. So since that was imposed on us, we don't gel with the nation state. All of the problems you see in the Muslim world are primarily because you have these disparate groups and tribes and people who speak all these different languages sort of mishmashed into like little boundaries drawn up by the British or the French or the Dutch or the whoever. And I think what the Christian nationalism and Zionism is attempting, trying to reverse engineer the liberal secular state into some sort of Jewish Sharia or Christian Sharia state, is absurd. And you can see the absurdity. It's absurd. You can't have God Emperor Trump or atheist Benjamin Netanyahu apply the laws of the Torah and then have democratic values and have equal citizenship.
You could have God Emperor Trump. You can't have God President Trump.
Right. Sorry. You can't have God President Trump. No.
You could have, which I think things would be much. So I always have wondered, like, what would history have been like if in 1948 Israel still got created, still established or whatever, but they got a Jewish king, like King David II or something, King Solomon II. And what would history have been like? Would they be less antsy about like the population of Palestinians? Would it be like Jordan, which Jordan's foreign population is huge. It's like half the people there are
50%
like from Syria or Palestinian. And there's problems with that, but the problems are not like, oh no, these people are going to come in and like elect a bad, like, no, there's a king. So
do you know what Mencius Moldbug?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So Curtis Yarvin, I found this really fascinating. And the first time I saw this character was on the Tim Dillon podcast. And I was like, I was mesmerized by this funny looking white man talking about a return to imperialism, and I think that experientially, for the latter end of the millennials and definitely for the Zoomers, the nation state is kind of over. The internet has sort of flattened the national boundaries and national identities, and sort of if you take the Israel-Palestine as a conflict as an example, it is the most protested, and it is going to be one of the most contentious issue in voting lines in America. But it's a conflict where no American troops are involved on ground. It's worse than Iraq. It's worse than Afghanistan. And it's the internet. That's what it is.